Hi guys, so I feel kind of bad because I posted a Facebook status earlier today and I wasn't able to, I guess, manage the conversation, for lack of a better term. For some reason, Facebook on iPad, on my phone, on my laptop, you couldn't even see that status. I kept getting like dings on my phone that people were commenting, like, I got 103 dings, but I wasn't able to, it wasn't showing up on my Facebook. And I came down here on the iMac and I was able to check in on the conversation a couple times, but for the most part, Hannah wanted nothing to do with the basement today. I don't know what her deal was, but she didn't want to be down here. So I wasn't able to really follow along with the conversation. So I feel bad just kind of not refereeing it because I see now, looking through some of the comments, got a little heated. But basically what the gist of it was I got on my Facebook this morning and I have a lot of Facebook friends, and sometimes, you know, the people I talk to all the time obviously are on my news feed, but today was kind of like a mishmash of people that I don't necessarily talk to all the time, and I'm just kind of scrolling down, and I am shocked by how many anti-C-section, anti-circumcision, anti-epidural, blah, 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 anti, this is why you shouldn't do this, and I can't believe that stupid mom did this, and I was just kind of like, pardon my French, but like, what the hell is going on here? So I put up this Facebook status that was like so many anti-epidural and anti-C-section statuses in my newsfeed. Tell you what, make an educated decision, and as long as you're happy with your birth experience, I'll be happy for you. And the reason why I put that up is because many of you know when I went in for my, okay, well, let's step back. Had I gone into labor with Hannah, my plan was to labor naturally, pursue a water birth. I had been studying hypnobirthing and was trying relaxation techniques. Like, I was ready to go natural. And while the thought of her coming out was a little scary, I was like, man, it is never gonna look the same. That was a little scary. It's not how it went at all. Most of you know I was induced at 42 weeks. It was it's just a really slow, long labor, and there are reasons behind it. Hannah did not, I keep forgetting that word, when she descends and when she like locks in, you know? What is that called? Anyways, she wasn't in correctly, and they probably should have, like, I don't know, maneuvered her or something, but they didn't realize, and she was corkscrewed in, and she wasn't putting pressure down on my cervix, and so I was doing all the dilation work myself. I wasn't getting any help from Hannah, and it was just a really long, stalled out labor, and I ended up getting extremely sick. Like, when I say I was sick during my labor, I was having conversations with my dead grandmother. I mean, I was crying out for nurses that were not in the room. Like, I've never been so sick in my life. So even if I had been able to push and deliver her vaginally, I was not in my right mind. Like, when there's a point when your fever gets so high, you are just crazy. You are a loon, and that's where I was. So also it had gotten to the point where I was on my third day without any sleep, with constant Pitocin contractions, and I needed to sleep. Besides just being sick, I was tired. I was exhausted. I had gone all that time with no pain medication, just breathing through them, and I was handling the contractions really well. And I just hit a point where I hit a wall, honestly, where I just couldn't cope anymore. And it wasn't because I was in transition or anything like that. I was done. And that epidural was amazing. And for me, it was the absolute right choice. And I say that regardless of what anyone thinks, because I was the one that was in the room the whole time. Like, I was the only one that was there the whole time. I'm the only one that knew what I went through. I'm the only one that knew what I was feeling. And I'm the only one that knew what I was capable of. And at that moment, I needed the epidural. And as far as the C-section goes, that doctor came in and told me later that he was amazed that Hannah and I were both alive. Like, I bled out really badly. I had a lot of complications, and people might say that the reason why I had the epidural and the reason why I had the C-section was because I allowed so many interventions. And you know, the whole point is, I don't care. I don't care what you think. When you say things like that, when you say, you know, your birth experience went haywire and you had to do X, Y, and Z because you allowed interventions or because of this, because of something you allowed to happen to you, like, you're just making the mom feel stupid, like she made a mistake or like she was duped by her doctor. I did a ton of research on birth and labor and every intervention possible. You should have seen my birth plan. It wasn't like, I want this and this and this, but it was, in the case of this happening, I would like to pursue this. I was very flexible on my birth plan, but I was also very well researched. I knew all the interventions that I was going to be faced with, especially since it was an induction. And so to tell me that my birth experience was because I allowed them to do an induction, you know what? I have a clotting disorder. And when you get past 42 weeks, the chance of a blood clot kind of goes through the roof. And I don't care what we had to do to get Hannah out. I just wanted her healthy and here. And there comes a point where I don't necessarily care what my birth experience is for that one day. I want to be able to have Hannah for a lifetime, you know? And it took me a long time, honestly, because the birth that I had and the birth that I wanted were a complete 180. I mean, you really couldn't get any farther apart than what I wanted. And it took a long time for me to come to terms with that. And it was really hard to share my labor and delivery story and then have so many women put the blame on me when I was still coming to terms with what I went through. I mean, it wasn't just that I had a long birth. I had a very traumatic birth experience with Hannah. And I don't appreciate getting judged for it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I cloth diaper and I breastfeed. And so I'm on like those sides of those debates. And so I've never felt like I was kind of in the minority. Like, I'm assuming like a formula feeding mom sometimes feels minimized when we're being very pro breastfeeding, right? That's what I hear. And I think that's kind of a safe thing to say. So when we're having discussions about how horrible C-sections are and about how horrible epidurals are, I think it makes me feel like my birth experience was minimized. And honestly, Hannah's labor and delivery was epic, and there are a million things I learned from it, and Hannah told us right off the bat what kind of person she was going to be. And now that I can look back on it and be thankful for the whole experience, because it was a huge learning experience. It was how she entered the world, and I have to appreciate it for what it is. And it's not what I planned on, and it's not necessarily what I wanted. And with baby number 2, I hope and pray that somehow we were able to have that moment where the baby is placed on my chest. Like, I think most moms just kind of like want that moment, that kind of like reward having the baby put on your chest. So I really hope that's kind of the only thing I want from delivery number 2. I would love to have that moment of meeting my baby instead of how I met Hannah, which was like trying desperately to pull back the curtain so I could catch a glimpse of her. But the moment I did finally meet her, the moment they brought her over to me and she like was trying to lick my face, it was so sweet. Anyway, I don't appreciate getting on Facebook and seeing people attacking other people's birth choices. Because the point is, you weren't in the room. You don't know what happened. And this is supposed to be I'm crying. This is supposed to be a community of support. The thing is, I'm not going to just say, do whatever you want to do. You know, do whatever you want to do. Because if that was a fact, then there would be no point in watching my videos. I'm all for educating yourself, and ideally, pursue a vaginal birth. If you want to pursue like a natural vaginal birth, do it. Awesome. If you need to have an epidural, no judgment here. I understand how they are needed. If you're the type of person that as soon as you get to the hospital you want an epidural, okay, I get that. I think the only thing that I disagree with is a scheduled C-section before 37 weeks when it is not medically necessary. That's the only time where I'm going to be like, what you doing? But other than that, I will kind of judge that. I'll be like, why in the world are you doing that? It's not medically necessary. Give the baby a little longer. But, so I'm not perfect. I'm going to judge a little bit in that instance. But other than that, I try to be very good for you. You are happy with your labor experience. I'm happy for you. And if you're having trouble coming to terms with the labor experience that you ended up with, I understand. And it's a process that, like, I think it takes some time and some separation from hormones. There's a lot of hormones right after you give birth, and everything's a little tense. And I know after I gave birth to Hannah, I feel guilty for freaking everything. I could have done everything better. But now that I have a little bit of space, I know that I did. And Chris even told me, he's like, you did amazing. I didn't think you were going to get through those first couple of days. He's like, I wasn't even there the whole time because he had to go home and check on the dogs a couple times. He's like, and I was exhausted. I didn't do anything, and I was literally exhausted. So I don't know how you did it, and I'm really proud of you. So you're going to have a great labor and delivery experience. It doesn't matter what it ends up being. Because once you have that baby in your arms, it doesn't matter. So if you feel judgment, just know that it's more about them than it is about you. And if I ever post something that comes off judgmental, I 99% chance I didn't mean it to come off that way. But I am going to check myself when I post stories about C-sections and epidurals. And just for the record, obviously I'm going to be pursuing a VBAC with baby number 2. It's not like I am super duper pro elective C-section. I'm not. But when medically necessary, C-sections. I get it. So anyway, see, this is the type of video I should have scripted. But I think we should have a conversation down below. How are you going to work to support people that had a different labor experience than you did, that had different birth experiences than you did, and how do you support people that, you know, want to pursue either natural birth or scheduled C-section? Like, what do you do to help build up this community instead of judging other moms? I guess that's what I want to know. And I guess I probably need to think about my answer to that question too. I will talk to you guys later, and have a great week.